Lord's Path to Planar Conquest Chapter 18, Equipped. After a while, the dwarf brought a small, one-finger-high bottle made of diamonds, which must have contained water of blasphemy. With the corrosiveness of water of defilement, ordinary bottles cannot hold it at all. Only diamond or idiosyncratic anti-corrosion gear can be used to preserve it. Blackbeard took the bottle and put the scepter into the quenching pool on the side. Open the bottle, pour out a drop of water of blasphemy, gently, and quickly close the bottle cap, signaling the dwarves to put it back. Strange to say, the filthy soil beast, which obviously feeds on filth, doesn't have the slightest odor in its saliva. When the water of blasphemy dripped into the water, the scepter emitted a dazzling light, and the water in the pool began to churn, as if it were boiling. Obviously, there was a fierce conflict between divine power and the water of blasphemy. Seeing the reaction started in the pool, Blackbeard said to Satra, "The next step is to start repeatedly calcining and quenching. Let the water of blasphemy completely erode the scepter and transform its properties. This is not very technical, you go back first. Come back tomorrow at this point, the quenching should be completed, then you can come and watch the process of my transformation of the scepter." Quote. Satra took out a piece of paper with a drawing on it and handed it to Kuroshu, saying, "Trouble changing the top of the scepter into this pattern." Kuroshu looked at the blueprint. "No problem, this is easy." Satra nodded, and took most out of the best blacksmith shop. The next step is to buy animals for breeding. The plain of Satra is known by the name, Wilderness Plain, which is dominated by wilderness. So Satra plans to buy some animals with strong survivability, such as antelopes. In addition, there are some experimental tools and instruments. But after a day of shopping, Satra was a little tired. So Satra sent most directly to buy it. "I plan to find a place to rest. After all, I can't run errands by myself, otherwise what do I want my little brother to do?" Ellipsis. Soon Satra found a resting hotel with a normal environment, but Satra didn't care anymore. With the guidance of the imprint, most will find things by himself after he buys them. When I take a break, time always goes by very fast. The next day, Satra took the space ring with animals and a bunch of various instruments from most. This kind of ring is sold by animal dealers. After all, it is impossible to drive a bunch of animals around on the street. In the void, the most mature technology should be space technology. After all, invading the plane, breaking through the space is the first. Therefore, the space equipment here is not expensive at all. The space equipment that can hold life, such as the equipment in Satra's hand, which is about 1,000 meters in size, is only crystallized from 2 planes. Not to mention this, everything about Sutter's coming to Central City, except for his own equipment, has already been done. Ellipsis. Finally, at the appointed time, Satra rushed to the best blacksmith shop. When he got there, Blackbeard had a big bald head and kept beating the scepter. Sweat dripped down his beard. Seeing how tired he looked, it was obvious that he hadn't slept all night and was busy until now. Seeing the arrival of Satra, Blackbeard said excitedly, "Lord Satra, you're here. I've almost finished my training. Next, I'm going to draw the magic pattern and enchant it." As he said that, he picked up the kettle that was placed beside him and took a sip. It was definitely the most exciting thing for Kurobe to be able to complete a perfect piece of equipment with his own hands. Although the equipment is not entirely from his hands, the requirements for the skills to transform this kind of equipment are also very high. You must know that this is to completely change the attributes of the equipment without harming the equipment. This technology is completely qualified to engrave the name on this equipment. Looking at the scepter carefully, the original majestic divine power has long since disappeared, and now the scepter is pouring out the power of the void. After a whole night of forging, its appearance is no longer the original golden scepter with a crown engraved on the top, symbolizing the power of the King of Gods. The decoration on the top of the scepter became a pentagram with a human head with 2 horns inlaid in the middle, which is the symbol of Satra. Blackbeard picked up the scepter in front of him, or the staff that was about to belong to Satra, and took out the carving knife and began to carve the magic pattern. It has to be said that the Blackbeard that looks like a rough man is so skilled in the extremely detailed task of depicting the magic pattern, and there is almost no pause in the depiction. Satra was observing the magic patterns drawn by Blackbeard, but unfortunately Satra only knew a few of them. Such as magic storage, magic enhancement, and so on. When so many magic patterns are drawn together, not only there is no conflict, but they are perfectly blended with each other. For the dwarf in front of him, Satra looked at it differently, and he dared to call the best blacksmith shop really capable. Just by depicting the magic pattern, he already deserves the title of master. In the void, there are different grades for the occupations of assistance, living, and exploration. Generally divided into apprentice, occupation, master, 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 grandmaster. Of course, this level cannot be equal to strength, but it is also respected by people. The main reason is that such occupations are often necessary occupations in the void, and such people are often very united. If you offend one of them, you offend all of them, and then you will find out in Canterlot, no one will sell you equipment, medicines, materials, or even intelligence. The word unity seems a little weird in the void, but the truth is that they are doing it for the common good. After all, most auxiliary and life professions are not very powerful. Except for explorer and creator. The former are generally those non-lords of the void race, specializing in exploring the universe, looking for treasures or planes, and then selling them. Most of the plane coordinates of the void plane come from explorers. Without enough strength, there is no way to survive in the cracks of the plane. The latter, as the maker of the troop nests, of course not all, some nests are automatically generated under the rules. You never know what kind of transformation puppet he has in his hands. And his strength is equally powerful. Having said so much, it is very demanding for life occupations to become a higher level. The dwarf in front of him has definitely reached the master level in painting magic patterns. UU reading www. After ukanshu.com has forged a piece of perfect equipment, you can apply to be promoted to master. Blackbeard is still carefully drawing the magic pattern. He must concentrate completely. If there is a mistake, it is equivalent to abolishing the entire magic pattern, which has a great impact on the equipment. As a dwarf who wants to engrave his name on perfect gear, this must not be a problem. But fortunately, everything went well. As the dwarf finished the last stroke, the entire staff began to exude a strange and powerful aura. A black void force condensed black smoke outside the staff, constantly entwining the staff. Seeing this, Blackbeard immediately engraved his name, Blackbeard Bronzehammer, on the bottom of the staff. The name was written in Dwarven language. This name is written. This Blackbeard is so perfect and elegant in depicting the magic pattern. How did you write the name? It makes people look so uncomfortable. After the name was engraved, Blackbeard said to Satra, bloodletting and the ceremony of confession. Of course, Satra knows the master recognition ceremony. There is a master recognition contract in the magic pattern just now. As long as Satra drops blood on the staff, the master recognition contract will be activated. So as long as Sata is not dead, the staff can only be controlled by Sata. Dropped blood, the staff quickly absorbed the blood. It floated in front of Satra very spiritually, and the magic lines on the staff were all hidden. Grabbing the staff, Satra felt that the power of the void in his entire body was agitated, and a powerful force swept through his body. Surrounded by the powerful force of the void, Satra was surrounded by a strong wind. His long black hair was blown up. Soon, he got used to the strength bonus brought by the staff, and the surging power all over his body gradually calmed down.